back. The theme of our next segment is nomenclature for binary ionic compounds. Our contestants today are Flo Reen and Ruby Diem. Flo, you're first.
Definitions for 100, please.
Okay. This is a compound that contains a positive ion and a negative ion.
What is binary ionic compound?
Correct.
Definitions for 200, please.
This is a compound that results when a metal reacts with a nonmetal.
What is an ionic
Correct.
compound? Type 1 ionic compounds for 100, please.
The cation is always named first, and the anion is named second.
What is the first rule for naming type 1 ionic compounds?
Correct.
Type 1 ionic compounds for 200, Alexa.
This is added to the end of the anion in a type 1 ionic compound.
What is IDE? I-D-E.
Correct.
Definitions for 400, please.
One is a positive ion, the other is a negative ion.
What is a cation and an anion?
Correct.
Type 1 ionic compounds for 300.
A simple cation takes its name from the name of the element. For example, Na+ is called sodium in the names of compounds containing this ion.
What is the second rule for naming type 1 ionic compounds?
Correct.
Type 1 ionic compounds for 400.
This is the name for the compound K2S.
Potassium is the cation and sulfur is the anion. I know that ide is added to the end of the anion, so the answer is...
What is potassium sulfide?
Correct.
Type 3 ionic compounds for 100, please.
Type 3 binary compounds contain only these.
What are nonmetals?
Correct.
Type 3 ionic compounds for 200.
The second element is named as though it were an anion.
What is the second rule of naming type 3 binary ionic compounds?
Correct.
Definitions for 300, please.
These are the prefixes for the numbers 1 through 8 in type 3 binary ionic compounds.
What are mono, di, tri, quadra, penta, hexa, hepta, octa?
I'm sorry, that's incorrect. Ruby, what's your answer?
What is mono, di, tri, tetra? Quadra is often a common mistake. Penta, hexa, hepta, octa.
That's correct.
Type 3 ionic compounds for 300, please.
This is the name for BF3.
I think it's monoboron trifluoride. Oh wait, I have to remember when there's only one of the cation, I don't use mono. That means the answer is...
What is boron trifluoride?
Correct.
Type 3 ionic compounds for 400.
This is a more common name for dihydrogen monoxide.
What is water?
Correct.
Type 2 ionic compounds for 100.
The cation is always named first and the anion second. Hint, this is also true for type 1 ionic compounds.
What is the first rule for naming type 2 ionic compounds?
Correct.
Type 2 ionic compounds for 200.
This is written in parentheses after the cation to specify the cation's charge.
What is the Roman numeral?
Correct.
Type 2 ionic compounds for 300.
In the compound Fe2O3, this is the Roman numeral after iron.
So I know the charge for iron is +3, and the charge for oxygen is -2. So that means the Roman numeral after iron would be...
What is 3?
Correct.
Type 2 ionic compounds for 400, please.
This is the name for the compound COBr2.
What is cobalt 1 bromide?
I'm sorry, that is incorrect. Ruby?
What is cobalt 3 bromide?
I'm sorry, but that is also incorrect. The correct answer is cobalt 2 bromide. Because bromide has a -1 charge and there are 2 bromides, cobalt must have a +2 charge to balance Br2. That means cobalt will be followed by a Roman numeral 2 to represent a positive 2 charge.
Miscellaneous for 300.
This is the name for PbO2.
Lead 4 oxide.
Correct.
Miscellaneous for 100.
This is the name for N2O5.
Dinitrogen pentaoxide.
Correct.
Miscellaneous for 200, please.
This is the name for SRO.
What is strontium oxide?
Correct.
Miscellaneous for 400.
The name of a compound tells us this about it.
What is the composition?
Correct. Well, folks, looks like that's the end of the question portion. Let's add up those points and see who won.